What's up, everyone? Welcome to Pat's Chat. I'm Doug Kyed, joined as always by Michael Hurley. Michael, how are we doing on this evening, this Thursday?
Good. Remember Sunday I said I was going to lose my voice?
Did you?
Not fully, but I'm recovering. I'm better.
I
I'm doing
believed in
well.
you.
Hey, I want to start. We get some really nice comments on YouTube. Like people are
Yeah,
just nice on there, which is
they are.
crazy
It's weird.
because YouTube used to be a place of just like hellfire and like my friend in college and I were going to make a book of just the craziest things we saw on YouTube comments, but I find they're generally more human these days than most other social media. So thanks to the YouTube commenters that have been nice.
Absolutely. And yeah, if you're watching this on Twitter, whatever you call it now, X, you can subscribe to us on YouTube. You can subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts. And you can leave a nice comment. Try not to leave a mean comment, but
We get some mean
comment's
ones
a
too.
comment. Or rate, review, subscribe, do all that good stuff. We'll get that off the top this time
I
because I
just like
usually mention like the last 20 seconds of the show when
yeah
most people have probably tuned out.
yeah. I don't know why I opened my YouTube and there we were. So I was like, oh, there we are, and I
Look at
clicked
those
and I showed.
guys.
It's like, look, I'm on YouTube, and then I was like, oh, people comment. That's nice. So
Yeah,
that's nice. Thanks for
good on
that.
them. There was a lot of negativity about the Patriots on Twitter today. I guess we'll get right into it. Patriots offensive coordinator Alex Van Pelt did not know that Marcus Jones had previously played offense for the Patriots. Marcus Jones did play offense on Sunday, so Alex Van Pelt now does know that Marcus Jones can play offense. 5-yard carry, but the story goes that about 2 weeks ago now, Marcus Jones texted Alex Van Pelt and said, like, "Hey, can I get some offensive snaps?" I don't know what the exact text was, but Alex Van Pelt like thought so little of it that he didn't think it was like the Marcus Jones that was on his team because he said to
Mm,
himself, well, if it was the Marcus Jones that's on my team, he would have just come up to me in the facility. So then he started racking his brain for like what Marcus Jones this was that had texted him. He actually Googled the name Marcus Jones. There's a guy who played for the Packers, I think, in 2019 with Alex Van Pelt. Alex Van Pelt said to himself, why would that Marcus Jones be texting me? But then when Alex Van Pelt got to work, one of the other coaches said, hey, Marcus is trying to get hold of you. Then they chatted in the facility. Alex Van Pelt said, hey, it's too late this week to get you in the game plan, but next week I got you. And then that's how Marcus Jones played on offense. Alex Van Pelt obviously was not on the Patriots in 2022, but there were a lot of coaches on the staff right now who were, including the head coach, Gerard Mayo, Marcus Jones' position coach, Mike Pellegrino, another one of Marcus Jones' kind of pseudo position coaches, Brian Belichick, the assistant quarterbacks coach, Evan Rothstein, and the wide receivers coach, Tyler Hughes, was on staff in 2022. So it's my biggest take on this is obviously it's not great, but you just don't realize what the media knows that guys inside the building don't until something like this happens. Like we shouldn't know more than they do.
right. The story there, because the big story was like, oh, he didn't know he played offense. The big story there is he didn't know who Marcus Jones was, which is a whole other problem in and
I
of
think he
itself.
knew who Marcus Jones was. He just didn't think that Marcus Jones would text him out of the blue rather than being like, "Hello, Alex. We work for the same team."
Okay, but if
Yeah.
you know Marcus Jones is on your team and you get a text from Marcus Jones that says, "Hey, could I get some snaps on offense?" Why would you go to Google and be like, "Oh, is it this guy I knew 5 years ago?" That's a little alarming, I would say. I do appreciate the honesty
Mm-hmm.
because,
Yeah.
but I
Thank you.
think we're seeing why football coaches just sort of say, "That's just what we went with," because when you reveal the truth, sometimes it is exposing of your negligence on the job because again we don't expect him to have a history book of the Patriots, but he should know every available weapon at his disposal. I think it goes to people like Elliot Wolf and to people like Matt
Elliot
Groh.
Wolf was there. Matt Groh was there. Yes.
It's I don't think it's a hidden thing. Like you said, media knows more. Like everyone knows that. I mean, it was a primetime game against Buffalo when he made his big splash on offense. If I'm not mistaken, was that a Thursday night? That was the game when Max said the effing quick game sucks. I don't know if it was Thursday, Sunday, or Monday. Might have been Monday actually, but
I have
either
no
way, it was a
idea.
primetime game.
Yeah.
It was not a secret thing. It became something, and they didn't use him last year because he was hurt. So that would explain.
Snap as a decoy, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, he got hurt early last year, right? Shoulder.
Yeah. 2 games. Yeah.
So it's been a bit, but he should be aware of that. I think even not being a part of the team, he should have been aware of that.
It would be, I will say this, to defend Alex Van Pelt, but in like also kind of a jokey manner here. I'm not actually going to defend Alex Van Pelt, but like it would be slightly hypocritical of you and me of all people to say that Alex Van Pelt should have studied the 2022 Matt Patricia offense.
Yeah, that's true.
So you got us there.
Yeah.
Like that one's on us.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
like just a cursory glance at Marcus Jones' Pro Football Reference page, I like probably should have like, but I mean,
he does, Doug, little, maybe Alex Van Pelt doesn't know this. He returns punts. So the ball does go in his hands in front of Alex Van Pelt's eyes right before his offense goes on the field. He sees Marcus Jones running away. Like, he's really good at it too. He's one of the best in the league. You would think that even an idea might be like, how could I use him?
Yeah.
I know it's unorthodox. It's rare. I don't know how many two-way players you see in the NFL.
Pretty rare.
If any.
Pretty rare.
So it's unique, but you would think they're at least, I didn't know that part about the text. To just peel back the curtain, I saw a tweet today. I was busy and I'm catching up and I see a tweet from Ben Volen and I said, Doug, is this real? And before you could reply, I had continued scrolling on Twitter and I was like, oh, it's real. This was not an interpretation by one person. This is out there. And again, you appreciate the honesty, right?
Yeah. Because Karen Garigian, I think it was, just like straight up asked him, like, why hadn't this come up before? Why hadn't you guys used him on offense before? And I'm currently trying to bring up the exact quote from Alex Van Pelt, but sometimes WordPress takes a long time to load on my laptop, so that's why there's a little bit of a delay there. I'm filling it.
You're stalling. I can stall
I'm,
you with an important update in that it's slightly a snow game in Cleveland tonight.
Hell yeah. So Alex Van Pelt said that was the first it had come to my attention that he had played offensive plays, and I'm glad he did. So good on Marcus Jones. I think that this is even kind of a lesson to really anyone out there who has a job, just in general. Like, even if it seems obvious, point out to people things that you can do that you're being underutilized on, because maybe they just didn't know.
Yeah, I'm going to text Alex Van Pelt tomorrow and ask for a few snaps on offense, like pros versus Joe style. Like, hey, man, you're getting a lot of heat for some of your guys not doing well. Throw me out there and they will all look like Benny the Jet Rodriguez.
It's very true. I think, I don't know what else there is to say about that. Like, this is one of those things where, like, obviously a lot of fans are going to have extreme reactions to this. A lot of people are saying that Alex Van Pelt should be fired for this. I don't think
he should be fired.
Offense. It's something that probably everyone who had worked for the Patriots in 2022 assumed that people who didn't work for the Patriots in 2022 knew. And that's probably why it wasn't told to Alex Van Pelt, but it's something that he should have known, or someone should have told him about. Offense has been struggling for 11 weeks now. Someone probably should have gone to him and said, like, hey, think we should maybe try Marcus on offense.
He was hired in February. So somewhere between February and April, when they're planning out the draft, throughout free agency, at some point in a meeting, someone should have said, also Marcus Jones is someone that we like to utilize.
We can put on offense. Right.
It should have been brought up by, I would think, Gerard Mayo first and foremost, but a ton of other people just talking, planning out the season. We have Marcus Jones too. Should have come up. Maybe it did come up. Maybe he wasn't listening. I don't know. I just think there's like, he shouldn't be fired. I think there is something negligent about it. Mm-hmm. And he just, it's rude of me, but when the camera cuts to him on the sideline, I'm never like, yeah, I have confidence in what he's got going on there. And this kind of cuts into that a little bit more.
Yeah, and I will say that this is also, I've seen even media members be like, this isn't a big deal. This is what, like, it might not be like a big, it's a deal though. Like, this is something that doesn't look good for the organization. It paints
Bad look.
it's a
Oh,
bad look.
I love bad look. It's like when
Yeah.
you don't want to say something's bad, but you just like, oh, the optics.
The optics are not great. And I also did want to, like, we're going long on this, but
No, we're not.
I would probably say Gerard Mayo might come out looking worse on this.
Yeah.
Like, because the head coach is probably the guy, like,
Yeah.
someone who was here in 2022. He was on the defensive staff. He's now the head coach. If Alex Van Pelt just straight up didn't know and couldn't have known, Gerard Mayo is probably the guy who should have come to him and said something about it.
Yeah, and maybe there's just a couple things now in a couple of weeks between the picking the wrong direction and overtime, things like this where you're just sort of perplexed seeing a head coach make some of these decisions or omissions or whatever it may be. It beyond
feels like in over his head a little bit in these certain situations.
Yeah, it's more than you would expect in terms of first year hiccups and roadblocks. Like I think those decisions before halftime, whether to play aggressive and give the ball back and give up points, those are things that maybe you learn on the job more.
Right.
These things are things you just sort of take as a given that don't represent a perfectly functioning ship. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, and I think that it's something that's certainly worth asking Gerard Mayo about tomorrow. Why didn't the entire staff know this?
It's funny though.
Yeah.
Though, in the shadow of Mayo saying on the radio the other day, like those reports are false, that the Patriots are reaching out for coaching advice on how to coach a young quarterback, that kind of leaked out last week, that, they might be already looking for the replacement. And then this to come out, it's not like the most important, significant part of Alex Van Pelt's job, but I think in the NFL, you expect a little bit more attention to detail.
Yeah, and I did think it was interesting that Gerard Mayo was saying that those reports were unequivocally
The sweetest.
false.
Oh,
because really the only people who can fully deny that would be Robert and Jonathan Kraft.
right.
So just thought it was interesting that he seemed to get a little bit fired up about it, that it was false. And they can certainly tell him it's false. I don't know. I have no idea. I've had zero reports on this, so I have no idea what the ownership is doing. But it was just interesting. Ralph Hay. Do you know who Ralph Hay is?
Ralphie is the child in A Christmas Story, which is a great classic American film.
You're not far off. You're pretty
blonde,
far off.
Glasses.
Yep.
Icicle.
That is who Ralphie is. Ralph Hay. However, Ralph Hay was picked by the Hall of Fame committee to potentially get into the Pro Football Hall of Fame over Robert Kraft. This was reported by ESPN's Don Van Natta on Thursday night. There's a tweet from Adam Schefter about it that honestly could have been worded a little bit better.
I thought he was past. Don't throw the word past in a tweet about an old man in a picture of him, because I saw past
with a lot of commas in it too. The comma,
and it was after the resume and everything. Right. And I fortunately didn't see it that way, but that is just way too easy to make people think the man died. To use the word passed up, passed over, like that is, he should be more careful, Mr. Schefter.
I agree.
I want to tell
you
I don't know.
I don't know why. This is the second or third time I feel like he's done this, where it presents it as if it's like someone has died, and then you have to keep reading. I don't know if it's intentional. I don't know what the deal is, but
probably it's good for engagement.
It's something that should stop. It's not good.
So just a little something on Ralph Hay. So Bill Belichick, as you and I both know, is an old man. He is 72. Ralph Hay perished. He died 8 years before Bill Belichick was born.
Yep.
So he's had ample opportunity to get into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, Ralph Hay. Of course, the Canton Bulldogs owner from 1918 through 1922, but he's mostly recognized for organizing the first meeting of teams that would later form the APFL, later called the NFL, which we've all heard of. So that's a bit, thanks to Wikipedia for letting me know about that. I don't know I don't know why he is getting in 2024.
You have to get him in now, like maybe his like great grandchild is on death's door or something. Like I don't know, like yeah.
I'm glad you said that, because the family section of Wikipedia said he was married to Esther.
Yep.
And
Esther.
they had one daughter.
Yep.
Esther was his secretary, so perhaps problematic there. Power structure of that relationship makes you wonder. Back in the 19 teens, they had one daughter. She had multiple children, and according to Wikipedia, the family's generation is still going as of today. So the Hayes are, though it was a daughter, so presumably they're not Hayes anymore.
Not Hayes anymore. Lots of Hayes in the barn.
I just think it's indicative of the problem with that Veterans Committee or whatever they.
This, like, I don't care that much about the Hall of Fame, but Robert, like, the Patriots have won 6 Super Bowls with Robert Kraft. Like, that's not insignificant.
And
like,
and it's like, well, it's A, if Jerry Jones is in, then Robert Kraft belongs in. And B,
and if Eddie DeBartolo is in, then Robert Kraft deserves to be in.
And it's like, A, the Super Bowls, of course. B, I think the brokerage of the lockout was significant, and we know the TV deals. He's been instrumental in that being the cash cow it is for the league. Like, that's 4 major marks on a living owner. There should
Pat
be
Boland's in, the Robert Kraft should be in. Yeah.
The freaking Ralph Wilson's in.
Yeah.
The Bills famously,
you got to get
any Super Bowls.
This is the year.
Ralph Hay.
This is the year for Hay. Okay.
Former he all right, sorry.
Some of the quotes in Don Van Natta's piece are pretty funny.
Nobody
Hay didn't believe players should be paid. He sold the team after only 4 years. I don't know how he is seen as more deserving than Bob Kraft. He didn't believe football players should be paid. And like, I guess for him, this was the 1910s.
Yeah, so where people would literally die playing football, and he didn't want to pay them.
Not a controversial opinion at the time. I'm sure that, like you mentioned it with Esther, I would imagine that someone who was coming up in the late 1800s and early 1910s probably had some problematic opinions on other things as well. I can't speak for Ralph Hay, but I don't know. This just seems so weird that they're like, this is the year we got to get Hay in.
Yeah, he had a car dealership in Canton, Ohio. So like,
I'm sure a lot of people do.
They put a plaque in there. That should be enough for Ralph Hay. I'll be honest. Like, organizing a meeting, people do that every day. Microsoft Teams, Zoom. It's pretty simple.
And it even says in here that, so there is a Hall of Fame honor named after Ralph Hay. The Ralph Hay Pioneer Award is given to people who have made. So that's already like something that has been going on since 1972. Ralph Hay basically in the Pro Football Hall of Fame because of that. But Hay has been passed over since the Hall was founded in 1963. He has never been a finalist until this year in 2020, after the Hall convened a specially selected group of voters to choose a centennial class marking the NFL's 100th anniversary. Voters picked 3 contributors for induction. Hay was not among them. So
this never works. But I'm going to do it anyway. He sold Hupmobiles, which are cars that look like that.
Nice.
Those are the cars, like barely a car, really.
Yeah.
No structure, just a bench with a steering wheel, bicycle tires. And look, I'm happy for him. I just will never understand the Hall of Fame process. And like, the question is just like, why is Jerry Jones in then?
Right. Yeah. It seems completely arbitrary. I don't know. I don't know what more to say about this. Like I said, it's not something I get like especially fired up about, but this is just a hilarious instance of the Hall of Fame voters just going out of their way to not push Robert Kraft forward, it seems.
I might have told this before on this very podcast, maybe not. I wrote a column, I think after the 6th Super Bowl, where I was like, you know what? It's like, forget about, you know what? It's because I smartly started the Edelman Hall of Fame bait.
Oh,
Hall of Fame debate because I'm just a rabble rouser like that. But then after they won, I said, you know what? Forget that one. The real discussion is that Robert Kraft belongs in. And then literally like a day or two later, the Day Spa story broke.
ooh.
So I was like, can we delete that from the website? But so I don't know if
wasn't
that
the same day. Yeah.
I have to think that's like a factor in their decision making, but I don't know, man.
I mean,
Jerry Jones has had some indiscretions in his life.
if you would like to know every single possible reason why he's not in the Hall of Fame, I do think Don Van Natta wrote about a 10,000 piece,
Right.
10,000 word piece on this
That's
a few
true.
months ago. It was roughly the length of a book. If I'm marking all the books that I've read this year, that one gets included. It's basically a book.
I just bought a book.
There you go.
Jim O'Hare, the actor who played Jerry Gergich on
Yeah.
Parks and Rec, wrote a book about Parks and Rec, so I'm going to read it. Does that
There we
count as a
go.
book?
Absolutely. I hadn't read a book for like a lot of years.
Yeah,
And then this summer I read like 15 books.
that's a lot of books.
It might get you started on reading books again.
It will not. I read one book a year, basically, and that's barely a book.
I basically read one book a year if you include all the books I read this year, and then
Yeah. Goes back to high
15
school.
years back. Yeah. And I basically read a book every year. So yeah, that's Robert Kraft and Ralph Hay. Not a whole lot else going on this week. Cole Strange had to learn how to walk again.
Yeah.
He tore, I think it was patellar tendon they tore in December. I think that's the report. And then he had like a cast on his right leg that just made it 180 degrees, he said. Where like he was having, like he could barely even like go to the bathroom on his own. He was on crutches, all this stuff. And then he said he basically had to relearn how to like walk, how to jump, how to squat, how to run. And he said he was like a baby deer at first. So it does seem like they're going a little slow with Cole Strange back on the field, which probably smart since he told us he had to relearn how to walk. But yeah, I don't know. Do you have a strong? Yeah, go ahead.
He looked skinny too.
He's one of the offensive linemen who has trouble keeping weight on in general. Okay. I think there's some guys who don't. Some of them have been on the Patriots over the last, let's say, 6 years, and some of them do.
I'm guessing squatting was difficult if walking was a challenge. So
I did ask him. I was like, strength and weight are a big factor in offensive line play. Have you been able to maintain those? He said yes, but between left guard and center, do you have a strong preference whether he should replace Michael Jordan or Ben Brown if it comes down to it?
I mean, Ben Brown had a good debut there. We were kind of like, oh, but it's definitely suffered since. Michael Jordan is, I don't know. Either one. Are they also going to try right guard?
They did say that. So then that could potentially get Demontre Jacobs bench and move Owenu back over to right tackle.
Yeah. I mean, ideally, I would like the team to have a plan and not just sort of a see what works out best scenario. That doesn't sound promising, but I don't know. That's a lot of pressure for a guy who's only in year 3 and, missed all that time and now has to step in and kind of be relied upon despite all of that. That's, it's a type of pressure that I don't know that's going to lead to success.
So today in practice, he was taking reps at center behind Ben Brown and Lacita Smith, kind of as like the third center. I know people have their Michael Jordan debates. For me, the Michael Jordan, Ben Brown debate that we're having right now is the one that's important.
Yeah.
I would keep him at left guard. I would since I don't think there's a strong, I don't think you can make a strong case for Ben Brown or Michael Jordan, like which one of those guys has been better or worse this season. So I would probably just have Cole Strange play guard. He's used to doing it. We won't have to learn how to snap. We won't have to learn how to read the defense and call out protections. It feels like a lot to kind of rush him back and also have him change positions and all these things. Like, at least if you have him at guard, there's 2 different spots that he could play. I don't know. I would just prefer to keep him at guard, but it doesn't really feel like that's the way they're moving with this.
Yeah, it feels like center would be more of a need, but again, you're kind of introducing something like as a first round pick, they're going to use you like the best way they can. I feel like if he could have played center, well,
Right.
they had a very good center,
That's a
so
thing, yeah.
maybe that's it. I don't know.
And
He's
like
got
in the future, center would probably be more valuable. Then you could be like, okay, David Andrews retires eventually. You put Cole Strange in there. But I also think that's something you could maybe do with the whole off season. Like since
I
now
mean,
is
he's
just such a short amount of time, just throw him a guard. I don't know. That's my opinion.
maybe he would have a good coach because we know David Andrews is there in the sling. Like he's not checked out and absent, so he would have support there. But for all of the reasons I stated, with all the pressure and the amount of like importance on it, I would say stick it at guard. Doug, we're not an Arthur Smith podcast. The Steelers ran a 4th down play of that. Which I hope it goes on Twitter. It was that bad. It was just snap it to Justin Fields and hope he gets the 2 yards. It was the worst play I've ever seen run.
There we go.
That's the one play I've seen so far tonight. So go Steelers, I guess.
Not conservative play calling there from the Steelers though. So yeah.
No.
Do you have any strong opinions about the Miami Dolphins, or even why the Patriots suck in Miami and have sucked in Miami for quite a long time at this point?
It is bizarre. And it's hard to judge that like, oh, it's continued after Brady because the Patriots have been pretty bad after Brady.
Right.
Let me think. Last year you had the Mac Jones pick with what's his name at this first game of the year. Ramsey was in his first game of the year and just baited him so badly. Like that was a bad one. Yeah, it was kind of weird. Like the Heat's just Heat, you know. It's not anything out of the ordinary, especially when you play this late in the year.
Always play in September.
Yeah.
So I mean, I think the Patriots were 24-12 against Miami for, I think, with Brady at quarterback. That's
18 years.
Mathing? Yeah.
No, you're missing a year, but he missed a year. So yeah, 18 years. Yeah.
So 24-12, and then they're 2-7 since Brady left. So that's not good.
Yeah.
They've lost 6 of their last 7 games in Miami, and they're 2-9 over the last 11 games in Miami. It is weird. Like they've lost 7 of their last 8 games to the Dolphins as well. I don't know. Like obviously they've just done a lot of losing since Tom Brady left, but it does even extend into Brady, where they were really struggling in Miami. And like I was on the John Rook show on Patriots.com yesterday, and he asked me why. I was like, I don't know. I mean, you just kind of have to assume it's the Heat, but quite it's just weird.
Yeah, they would lose. I mean, you go back to 03, 04, 03, they won in overtime. Troy Brown. 04, the Dolphins wore orange jerseys. It was Monday night. The Dolphins were awful. The Patriots were 14-2 and lost. So,
was the Wildcat game in Miami?
No, that was at Gillette. But so it says Tom Brady was 8-10 against the Dolphins on the road in his career, and that doesn't include any Bucs games. So I don't know. There's Super Bowl years they would go there and lose. They lost there to start the 14 season.
Devon Godchaux talked a little bit today about how like the sun only shines on one side of the sideline, and how like that is kind of it does like kind of suck.
That's new though. That's a renovation.
That's new though. Yeah.
That doesn't explain quite all of it.
Though, is it? Because the field's always been the same direction, right?
I think they put more like roof cover.
Oh, so then now one side is at least shaded. Yeah.
Yeah. That was like probably 5 years ago. I don't know, but
it was recent.
No,
they put like an umbrella over it, basically.
And remember, of course, you remember, what year was it? 2 years ago, when the Patriots prepared by heading down to the Bunker Hill Community College of Southern Florida. And
I actually wasn't there for that, but I do remember it. I remember people talking about it. They had to fly in uprights.
They had like netting uprights. That didn't work. They lost that game. So I don't know. It's a fair question, and it's not like the Dolphins have had some lean years. They didn't really have any great years after that. After like the Ricky Williams era and Dave Wannstedt, they didn't really. Did they make the playoffs?
I mean, maybe, but it's not like they haven't been good. You know. Like
Yeah.
they've probably had some like better years, but overall they have not been good during this
They
stretch of
they
time.
Ricky Williams' era, I say, ends in 01. They lost the wild card round. They didn't make the playoffs again until 08, which was the Wildcat year. They lost in the wild card round to, I remember that game. I don't remember it. Then they went 8 years without a playoff appearance, and then 6 more years. So it's not like they were ever even a wild card team.
No,
So, they
no,
lost to Baltimore. So I don't know. It's just one of those things, and you thought it was a Brady thing, but that didn't make sense.
no.
I don't know.
The mystery continues, but
Well, they're going to lose this one.
They're probably going to lose this one. Yeah, I mean, like they lost to the team when Tyler Huntley was at quarterback. They're probably going to lose with Tua Tagovailoa at quarterback.
Well, let me pose this to you, Doug,
Yeah.
because I think this is maybe one of the only interesting ways we could dissect it, because we talked about how there's could wins. Like last week was a could win, not a should win. There's no more should wins left.
No.
But if we look at their games from this year, would we have we said probably the Bengals was a no way in hell win, right?
Right. Yeah.
Turns out the Bengals suck, so that doesn't really work. Now we know a lot about these teams. This feels like a no way in hell they win the game situation.
I would put this in a shouldn't win. I think like
you would need like strip sacks, punt returns,
which the Patriots can't take the ball away right
No.
now. We've gone 2 straight games with no takeaways. So yeah,
you would need probably 2 turnovers. Like you need special teams to do something. You need offense to generate probably 3 touchdown drives. And it's just asking a lot from a lot of people that are probably at like full stress capacity.
The Patriots have topped out this season at 25 points, and there are 9 NFL teams who average 25 points or more per game. So can't count on them to score a lot of points in this game. They are 30th in the NFL in points per game. So it's the Dolphins are favored by 7. The point total over under is 46. So yeah, it's not looking great for the Patriots in this one.
No, I don't like them in this game, unfortunately for them. But then Indianapolis back here December 1st, it's a could win. So
that's a good one. Yeah,
you could be looking at 4-9 at the bye, which is, I mean, maybe slightly below what we were expecting, and so they have to kind of overachieve to get there. So it's not great.
No, I would say if I had to give a score prediction, I'll go under for points, and I guess I'll say 24-17 on this one.
That's kind of a basic score. Are you a scoregami guy? Because I really don't get the people that get very excited about scoregamis.
I don't care about scoregamis now.
And they'll tweet it and quote tweet it and be like, "Yay, it's scoregami!" And
not for me. NFM.
Give me a baseball scoregami. That's cool because there's 162 games from all the teams for 1,000 years. Like 37-15, first time ever. That'd be pretty sweet. I mean, the Dolphins are going to score 30 points. I think
it's possible.
I'll say 30-16. I don't like it. I don't love it. I think for as wounded as the Dolphins were, they survived, and they seem to be. They don't seem to be humming along now, but they seem to be a closer representation of what they should be. So, unfortunately, it'd be more fun if it was a little bit more juicy. But listen, we've been wrong before.
We have, and it could be an entertaining game. One other thing that came out today, or one other thing from press conferences today, his answer was a little more complex than this. But I think my colleague Andrew Callahan asked Marcus Covington, the Patriots defensive coordinator, what the defense has improved upon since the early part of the season. He started off the answer by saying, I think we've improved on third down. And then as he continued to say, I think we've also improved on early downs. So
all the downs.
All the Patriots just improved on all the downs.
Well,
that's big.
They cooked the books last week by just not really having many third downs.
Yeah.
Because I think the Rams they faced third down 8 times.
Yeah. Well, that was Keon White's excuse after the game for why they didn't generate a lot of pressure. He was like, well, they only had like 7 third downs. It's like
you are only allowed to pressure the quarterback on third down.
that is like it's an answer that does not satisfy me a lot of times
Yeah.
when people say that because I'm like, he has blitzed a lot in that game.
They sent a zero blitz and no one got anywhere near the pocket. Like that was,
Yeah.
you wouldn't have known they sent the house on that play
No.
until you saw Cooper Kupp walking into the end zone.
Yeah. Yeah. That was well, we'll see if Jonathan Jones can play better in this game this week. He had based on his PFF grade, the worst game of his career against the Rams. It was the lowest PFF grade he's ever received in a game.
Yeah. That was bad.
He's usually better, but he's usually pretty good against Tyreek Hill. I think I don't know. We'll see what they do with Christian Gonzalez in this game. Personally, I wouldn't throw him on the boundary. Gerard Mayo did kind of defend that decision a little bit yesterday by saying that in man coverage, Christian Gonzalez was on one of their top receivers the majority of the time. Once again, my colleague Andrew Callahan charted that. He said he was only on one of those guys 7 out of 16 times. So the math ain't mathing on that one.
And it was just like, why would you defend that? It was clearly a crap strategy. You could just say like you screwed up. I don't understand that. What's going on?
Like he was kind of hearing the noise on that one a little bit.
Yeah, as well you should, because it was not a good strategy. Sometimes you got to admit that you screwed up. I don't know. What's going on with Jalen Waddle? He has 400 yards this year.
Tagovailoa was hurt.
Still, I mean,
I think Waddle he played every game. Waddle
10 games.
Okay, so yeah, I think it's just like the offense was messed up for the first like 8 games of the season, basically.
Okay,
but yeah,
I mean, I know I've seen the meme, and it was, did Tyreek Hill get arrested before the game, and did he have a 100-yard performance? And it was still just week 1 with the only yeses, but I believe he broke that streak last week. But
injured his wrist getting arrested, I think, right? He said that?
Something like that, yeah. Sorry, he didn't have 100 yards last week, so still intact. So I guess you put Gonzalez on Waddle, is the point?
I could put him on either. I don't know.
I confused myself. It was Jonnu Smith who had the big game last week.
Yeah.
Who covers him?
Run. Well, that's an issue.
Jones?
This is a game where the Patriots have played a lot of base defense. They got some slow linebackers at times in that base defense. So
I'm picturing Jelani Tavai trying to cover an elusive tight end, and it's probably
or a running back who can run a 4-3, which would apply to Devon Achane, Raheem Mostert, or Jalen Wright. All 3 of the running backs. So I think this is a big, like a big nickel, big dime game where you got 3 or 4 safeties on the field. Maybe 3 safeties, 3 cornerbacks. I don't know.
It's not I might up my 30 to set for what I say 30-16. I might go 34-14.
Kyle Duggar's got to play better. He's got to tackle this game.
Sure does.
I think we might see a decent amount of Jalen Hawkins and Del Pettis. Maybe Marte Mapu is back for this game. We'll see.
What position is he going to play?
Linebacker, maybe. I think these running backs are so small and speedy. I don't think you can have Sione Taki on the field, or maybe Jelani Tavai plays every snap, but it's I'm just picturing him dropping back into the zone, and then Tyreek Hill just running past him is not great. AVP also did say today that Drake Maye's read and throw were correct on the end of game interception, and that Pop Douglas was at fault on it.
The throw was not correct. The throw was a mile over his head.
He said that if Pop Douglas had looked, he would have been able to catch the ball. No. I don't necessarily agree with it. I think maybe Pop Douglas's route was also wrong, but I don't know.
Coming out of a timeout. That shouldn't happen. That's another sign of just the functionality of the team being so derailed. That's coming out of a timeout. Everyone should know what they're doing, and the quarterback should know what everyone's doing. So whether it was Douglas or Maye, I don't want to say it's irrelevant, but it's
you just don't want miscommunication on offense there. Yeah.
Coming out of the timeout. I do have some positive stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I was at the gym this morning. You probably noticed.
Of course.
Muscles. and Dan Orlovsky was on the TV. He redrafted the quarterbacks. Did you see
I
this?
saw that. Yeah.
Jaden Daniels first, Drake Maye second. I think Caleb Williams was third, and then Bo Nix. He's still not a Bo Nix believer. I don't know. I didn't have the sound on. But then I saw this tweet from him. Did you see the tweet?
I don't think so.
So Orlovsky didn't
Oh,
want
I
him to
did.
play.
Yeah.
He didn't want him to play for 2 years, right? I think that was his thing.
I was just gonna make the. I like Dan Orlovsky.
Yeah,
He seems like a great guy. He's tweeted at me a couple times. Seems like a good dude.
Yeah.
I have a lot of friends who are friends with him, but I feel like early in the season he was like borderline crying over the possibility of Drake Maye playing behind the Patriots offensive line.
He wanted, but even before, like he wanted him to sit for 2 years, I think, which is wrong. Did he tweet at you back when he would like just post videos and be like, "Hey, please retweet this"? And
I don't know. I don't think so.
He would do that to like Rochi. Be like, just a video of him like breaking down film, like at Rochi.
Great.
So the tweet is Drake Maye has been way more precise than I expected. He's the only qualified QB who has been off target on less than 10% of his throws this season. He had 2 misses on 64 throws in his last 2 games. Snipering. Now, I would say one of those misses was a game-ending interception Sunday. So that's a factor.
Yeah.
But
he's been like early in the season, I was like, he was a little inaccurate at times, like off a little bit, but he really has fixed that quite a bit over the last few weeks.
Yeah. I would agree. Was the end zone, was the overtime interception an off target? That was 3 weeks ago, so I guess that doesn't factor. But 2 out of 64.
It was off target. We don't know whether he was throwing in the wind or not, but it was off target, I would say.
Yeah.
It was short.
Either way, I think that's the story still. So you're going in this game. You don't think the Patriots are going to win.
Yeah.
You want to see some more Drake Maye stuff from Drake Maye, which is fun. You hope he doesn't get hurt because he's kind of a psychopath when he runs and dives into linebackers. But that's what I'll be watching with popcorn.
This was something else I mentioned on a John Rock show yesterday, but like as far as it goes with in the future, getting a guy like, let's say like T Higgins or trading for a wide receiver, all that kind of stuff. Like obviously Drake May's performance in games is the most important thing. Like maybe if he plays well enough, they'll want to play with him. I do actually think it's sneaky relevant and important that guys like Dan Orlovsky are tweeting about him, are praising him, because like that's the kind of shit the players see and then are like, oh, that guy's good. Like that's the guy that everyone keeps talking about being good. Yeah. So that's a really positive development for this season, that all of those important QB guru people are really talking of Drake Maye right now.
And I think even bigger, for whatever it matters, nationally, people aren't watching the Patriots. It's not they had one national game in his week 3.
Yeah.
They are at 1:00 every week. When there's 8 other games going on, you might see him pop in a red zone. You might see a Drake Maye highlight, but I don't think people.
I don't think T Higgins is able to watch a lot of Patriots games this year.
Yeah, and so I do think that does help in terms of national standings. Like even here, I haven't seen as much Bo Nix as I probably would like to or should have, because the Broncos aren't on nationally, and when they're playing at 4, there's usually like a Chiefs Bills going up against it. So I think that is in like the PR aspect, and maybe that's not that important, but I do think in terms of, I wasn't even thinking free agency wise, that does help quite a bit when they're at the gym, just like, the great athletes that they are and I am. When we're at the gym in the morning and we see it, it does help sort of build that up as people plan their lives in football.
Yeah, no, I think it's really important. And I think that it just has to continue now. I think he's got to finish strong. And then maybe you can get some of those guys wanting to play with Drake Maye. And hopefully Alex Van Pelt is fully aware of everything that they've done in the past offensively.
Do you think, I don't know who it is, who's Computer Cowboy?
Ben Baldwin?
Ben Baldwin, yeah. Do you think the players follow him? Because he has a lot of pro Drake Maye stuff coming
Really?
Data-driven.
Yeah. Drake Maye data-driven stuff is high right now. Very, very strong.
I'll get you one. Ready?
Yeah.
What's today's date? The 21st?
Yeah.
All right, so it's a graph, obviously. So it's, where'd it go? It goes pass protection measured by 2 independent sources. So he doesn't list what ESPN win rate and PFF grade. So he does a pie chart, and there's the bottom. I got to do this backwards. The bottom, top, whatever. Yeah. And the top would be the best offensive lines in the bottom, and they are legit at the bottom. It's the Saints and the Patriots, dead last. And so he said what Drake Maye is doing is actually kind of amazing. And then the next tweet, pass block grades of offensive linemen in true pass sets only. This is a Drake Maye tweet because true pass set grade, where do you think the Patriots rank?
Probably last.
32nd. The average is 43. The best in the league would be 71, Denver, Bo Nix. So I think there is stuff like that where it's maybe too analytical and in the weeds for like T. Higgins, for example. I don't think he's falling computer cowboy, but a lot more is sort of rolling down because even we talked last week at the podcast after the game and we're like, I wonder how much if the offensive you were like, I think the offensive line was better. And I was like, well, do we know that? And then it came out he was pressured on 45%.
Yeah. It was high.
Which is horrible. He just disguises it well. So the more he does that, the better.
He also rates very high on like off script plays. So when like he's leaving the pocket or when he's going to his like second or third read or whatever, he's like up there with like Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. Like it's those three at the end of the chart that you want them to be. And it's like those guys are an MVP conversation, and then Drake Maye's right there with them. So yeah, I mean it's pretty wild. Like Drake Maye has been phenomenal. Obviously, turnover worthy play rate still really high. Turning the ball over too much. You'd like to see that drop, but he's also a 22-year-old rookie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I think the other benefit of all this is like if you look at the box score, nothing really jumps out. Usually, it's usually kind of like, oh, there's a quarterback who played and wasn't a disaster, but we know that it's been much better. So, ultimately pretty good. By the way, the Rams, 29th on that pass set, and the Patriots were not able to. Do they have any pressures?
They had like 5 or 6 pressures all game. It was really low. Yeah.
You want to know where Miami? You want to know where Miami ranks? Just because they're gonna. 17th.
Wow.
On that, and then in the chart, right in the middle. So, they should be able to get a sack, but we'll see.
There we go. All right. Well, do you have anything to? You wrote something this week.
I did. I just dusted off the keyboard, tried to see what worked. Maybe I'll write something again. Trying to figure out what I do for a living. So that is one of the things.
I've been writing too much, so it's But on Saturday, I don't usually plug things on here, but I do. I've done a series this year where I talk to new Patriots players so that fans can get to know them better on and off the field. I talked to Austin Hooper this week, who probably the funniest Patriots player I've talked to so far.
Really?
Yeah. So that's something I'll tease.
I'll plug the Joey Sly one was very good. I read that one on a Sunday morning. That was it was an emotional one. So
emotional one. Yep. This one's not emotional. He's just talking about wanting to shut up celebrities and how he messes with Drake Maye. So
it sounds interesting because Austin Hooper is a guy. He's been around for a while.
He has. Stanford grad.
Don't know much about him.
His high school football team won the state championship every single year he played there. 4 years in a row. Not bad.
Good. Where was that?
De La Salle in the Bay Area.
So, all right. California, pretty big state.
He had Tommy John surgery when he was 14. So his dream of being a left-handed pitcher went kaput. Just had to play football after that.
Did you talk about Super Bowl 51?
No, I did not.
Oh, didn't he have a big gainer in that one? I feel like he ran away from Patrick Chung or something.
He's been it's the best outside addition they've made this year is either Austin Hooper or Joey Sly, which you can decide for yourself what that means, but Austin Hooper's certainly up there with best free agent addition on the team this year.
He had 3 catches for 32 yards and a touchdown. The touchdown was against Chung, I think.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah.
I think
maybe
that
Austin Hooper.
The big gainer might have been at the end. You know the crazy part about Super Bowl 51? This is a Super Bowl 51 podcast.
This one's easy. The fact that the Patriots came back from 23
and did it with 57 seconds left. Like the Falcons could have won the game after that. They kicked off. Eric Weems returned it. So that killed time. That killed 5 seconds. Matt Ryan a Sanu for 12 yards. Matt Ryan a Hooper for 4 yards. That got a first down. They spiked it. And then he threw deep left to Hooper. It was not complete. and then they had to punt.
That's
They punted. The Patriots, remember Deion Lewis got hurt on the handoff after the punt.
That's some 2024 Patriots clock management right there, giving the ball back to the Falcons with 57 seconds left. Not great.
Spike, incomplete, punt.
Wow.
The old
All right.
classic spike. No,
Well-
we have a couple more hours to do on Super Bowl 51.
We'll do that. We'll do that after our Deflategate podcast series this offseason.
What do you think Cynthia's up to?
Oh, I don't know. Still telling people that they look good.
Cynthia told me I was
handsome.
handsome and I felt great, and then turns out she was telling that to everyone, or at least to both of us.
Both of us. Most handsome podcast there is. All right.
Most
We already told you to subscribe and all that stuff, so do all that stuff. And do some research on Ralph Hay, because could be in the Hall of Fame soon. Goodbye. It's the Ralph Hay podcast.